Okay, now I'm going to show you invisible machine applique, and I've already shown you a couple of the different machine stitches that you could use. You can use invisible thread or you can use matching thread. I personally don't like invisible thread because it doesn't like heat, so you can't press the piece afterwards, or you can't use a hot dryer like on a baby blanket, or sorry, baby quilt. And so I like to make it matching thread. And my machine doesn't adjust the overcast quite as much as I like, so I'm going to use what really is kind of a fancy blanket stitch, but it's a stitch that allows me to adjust to a really tiny little bite. So I've got a finished edge here. This is a turned under edge, and in this particular case I used apple glue or Roxanne's glue to just hold it position. So it's secure, it's not going anywhere. And I'm just going to stitch, and as I mentioned before, I'm using on my FAF stitch number 55. So you can see this is a really teeny tiny little stitch. It actually does look like a buttonhole stitch because that's pretty much what it is in my case. But it takes such a small bite that it's just barely holding it down, which is exactly what I wanted. And then the stitch that's going around the outside edge really, when the whole quilt is finished, looks like you've stitched in the ditch for your machine quilting. So it ends up being pretty much invisible. And I'm using a matching thread, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to see. But as I showed you in previous ones, if you've got any stitch where you're going from left to right, you need to remember your stitch, memorize your stitch, know where it's going to go, and when you're turning a curve, be in this outside position so that you don't get the bite turning into a V. So I want to be in that position when I turn, or that position, but not that position, because then I'm going to end up with that bite being a V, and I don't want that. So you just go all the way around. I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see the stitching on the outside, but like I said, that's going to end up looking like a stitch in the ditch when you're done, and it's just the tiniest little bite all the way around. And you can adjust that, depending on your machine, as wide as you want so that it's as far apart as you want, because you don't need much to hold it down. So now I'm going to demonstrate the other stitch that I'm not sure what it's called. It might be an overlock on different machines. On my FAF it's a number 16, and I have adjusted it so that that bite is as small as possible. But my personal preference is that this one shows too much of a V. Oops. I didn't hold my thread when I started. And I'm always in the needle down position before I turn. I'll just take a few more bites and I'll let you see what that looks like. And if you're using invisible thread, if you like invisible thread, then really this is truly invisible. You don't see it unless the light catches it and shines. So really pick what your favorite invisible stitch is. You can see that it's not showing very much. You get that same stitch in the ditch appearance, and you just get a tiny little bite. But some of the machines, I believe the Bernina, makes that V much tinier and much more closed. So all depends on which machine you have as to which one you're going to be willing to use. I like to use on a visible machine applique. My FAF, it's number 55. Your machine will be different. What I like about this is it kind of looks like a buttonhole stitch, but I can make that bite really teeny tiny. So that's the smallest the bite will go. And I like it right about there. But you can adjust how many you'd like as well. Then the other one I like a lot is, and is on more machines, is number 16. I'm not quite sure what that's called. And in this case, I want that bite to be as tiny as possible. My machine doesn't go as tiny as I like. I prefer that V to be a little closer together, but I can't get it quite that way, so I prefer the other one. But a lot of machines have this one. I think it's an overlock stitch. I'm not sure. It's kind of something that the sergers will do as well. And then I've learned to do the machine applique with this stitch.